Cardano community is by far the most difficult community to interact with on social media. And it's mainly because they care about things that most of crypto is just not concerned with at all. Their community is really quite maximalist, cultist, if you want to call them that. And they are constantly taking shots at Solana and all these other networks that are way more successful than their network is. I don't get it, but we're going to talk about that today on Dead Cat Crypto. So it all starts on X, a boring day for me. I can't help myself but get involved in these conversations, but this is a conversation with Roger Ver, and this is Dave. He's a validator, stake pool operator, and also involved in Cardano's emerging governance. And he says, and he quotes from the video, they care less about decentralization and more about user experience, referring to Solana. And I agree completely. This is why Solana has been able to move the needle so far in such a short amount of time, and also survive a catastrophe, by the way, to onboard users and create a vibrant crypto ecosystem. But Dave is saying they don't actually need to operate a blockchain. If decentralization isn't a priority, then these so-called dApps might as well just be regular apps on a website. That's true. And you know what? The same could be said for all of the applications across crypto that simply copy something in Web 2 and then launch on a blockchain simply so they could issue a token, because the token is almost always the real product, isn't it? But Solana is adequately decentralized. You could say that there's some outsized influence by certain players. You're never going to get rid of that, right? Cardano has the same thing. We have Charles, Cardano Foundation, whatever. In Cardano, they care more about optics and they care about what's actually going on where the rubber meets the road. And Solana did pretty well in 2024. Cardano has the market cap, like 50% of the market cap of a Coinbase, and they have almost no users, relatively speaking. $30 billion market cap. How many people are using the chain day to day? I find it ironic that Cardano community and one of the Cardano AI agents, which is probably the funniest thing on Twitter now, just replies on Solana tweets, taking digs at Solana and then trying to promote Cardano at the same time. The thing is, what Cardano is promoting, people are not interested in this cycle. Maybe next cycle they will be, but right now, people are not interested in the tech. The devs, they're cooking. Who cares? Decentralization. Well, how do you compare one chain to the next? They all kind of look the same, the permissionless smart contract platforms. Who cares? No one cares right now. This is the cycle where meme tokens completely took over, and it's all about attention and, hate to say it, gambling. So let's look at some of the replies on this thread. I mean, it's so easy to upset the Cardano maxis, and they don't listen to a word you say, so I don't know why I beat my head against the wall. He says, the whole point of crypto is decentralization. If that's not the focus, why even use or invest in it? I strongly disagree. That's not the point. The point is, right now at least, is to have a permissionless network, to have semi-anonymous, pseudonymous communities interacting, and then once in a while, 1 out of every 1,000 or 5,000 participants, they hit it huge by taking a massive risk with a little bit of money, and they cash out $1 million. That's the draw. It's not decentralization. A lot of crypto is adequately decentralized, even though Cardano maxis like to think that that's the single greatest issue in this space. And I hate to say it, but it's not. So what do? I have to reply, and I'm like doing stuff. I'm just tweeting fast, and I don't care whose feelings I hurt. I say Cardano people have absolutely no grip on the crypto market or what drives real adoption, none whatsoever. Instead, they have the same cult worship of Charles that Terra community has or had for Do Kwon. And they're obsessed with buzzwords and worthless science papers. So I hit them in the science papers, right? Because Cardano people, when you talk about decentralization, they come out with this science paper that they themselves funded that shows these different metrics that are not universally agreed upon, by the way. There's no definition of decentralization that will satisfy everyone. And they say, look, Cardano is the most decentralized. This scientific research proves it. The scientific research was done by you, by Cardano. So I don't know how much stock you want to put into that. I mean, it's a good starting point to define some terms and come up with some metrics, but decentralization doesn't pay the bills. Decentralization doesn't onboard people to using applications. Decentralization doesn't smooth out the friction of many of the wallets that are out there that I did cover, by the way, very fairly on my channel regarding Cardano's wallets. So this person replies to me, and it's totally valid, by the way. They're talking about daily active users, and they're saying how most of the daily active users barely hold any soul. They're just like created to do one transaction and that's it. I agree. Daily active users is not a way to measure the network. The lower the network fees, the more bots you're going to have. Solana has super low network fees. They have bots. Do some of them serve a purpose? Maybe. Are most of them nonsense that would go away if Solana raised the fees? Probably. But it doesn't matter because Solana is actually generating revenue. And look, you can go into how that revenue is distributed among the participants. I get that. But they're generating millions of dollars of revenue. Their apps are generating millions of dollars of revenue. So these transactions, for now, they have some purpose. So now other Cardano maxis, they want me to explain what I mean by real adoption. And if that's not evident, holy hell, Cardano, you're in big trouble. But the secret to adoption is onboarding users, getting people to use products or services and pay a fee to do so, using that fee to fund development on the chain, security, treasury, whatever you want, rewards, APRs, all that. The problem with Cardano is the inflation's funding all of it. The inflation, which is like something like $1 billion to $2 billion a year, the market cap fluctuates. And that inflation is used to pay expenses on the network. That pays the SPOs, that pays the treasury, that pays the foundations. That's a lot of money. Pays the staking rewards. It's a lot of money. So if that is sold, which it can be, and I'm sure not all of it is sold every 5 days. So, you don't have to comment if you're going to say something about that. That's an expense, right? When you want to count it as an expense is up to you. I want to count it when it's emitted, right? Because it's diluting all the other tokens, right? So when inflation's emitted into the circulating supply, that's an expense. So here's what I'll say about Cardano being an early adopter of Cardano's technology, an early token holder going back to like 2017, buying it on Bittrex when it first launched, way before there was a mainnet, when there was an ADA Lite wallet. And, I think you could even have Ethereum Classic in that wallet because Charles at the time was pretty high on Ethereum Classic. But here's what's going on with Cardano. Cardano launched as one of the first proof of stake blockchains in all of crypto. It may even predate Tron, which is another early one, and a couple others, VeChain, whatever. They fell far behind other proof of stake networks. And I'll throw Cosmos into there. I'll throw ETH's L2s into there. Solana, obviously, Sui, all these different chains have lower fees, faster transaction speeds, better scaling, better adoption, and they do a better job of collecting fees. The one thing Cardano people will say is decentralization. I'll say, who cares? Decentralization is not putting people on your chain. It's just like nerd talk to satisfy the developers and the stake pool operators so they could kibitz about something, because they're not kibitzing about network activity or what to do, because the transactions won't all fit in a block, which is Solana's problem, a nice problem to have. So what drives adoption? Apps. Cardano needs apps. Until then, I don't care about the buzzwords. Decentralization was not a defining factor in this cycle. Maybe next cycle, if Cardano can survive.